Okay, welcome, gentlemen, to Tanya Inside Out. This is, I don't remember what class it is, but it's a review of chapters 26 to 34. And I want a little bit of like, this is going to be like, what's the word? Interactive more than usual. So, because I want to see like what's going in, if people are familiar with the ideas, if they like forgot details, but they got the big picture, or this is completely new to them or whatever. So we're gonna go through a lot, and I'm assuming that you're not going to learn anything new. I'm hoping that most of it will be, all of it will just be a review, as it's meant to be. But yeah, okay, let me just start a timer here. One moment. Okay, so chapters 26 to 34 can be some. I mean, I late they're a unit in and of themselves, yeah. And I called the entire unit obstacles to divine service and their remedy. We're basically chapters 26 to 34 are about Simcha. Okay, there's a lot of stuff goes on, but the if you want to call them one word, it's Simcha. The Rebbe's treatise on Simcha. Okay, so the first, the first thing we need to know, which he doesn't really say in these prakim, but the first thing he says in Tanya is that the key to avodas Hashem is Simcha. There is no avodas Hashem without Simcha. There is no avodas Hashem, period. So the question is, what is Simcha? Can anyone throw out quickly in 2 Hebrew words, maybe?
Free flowing.
Saying two, yeah, that is right. But what are the 2 Hebrew words? Something halev.
Timtum, no, psichas halev.
Thank you. Yeah.
Open heart.
Yeah, you same thing. What?
An open heart.
Open-heartedness, exactly. It means that you're available. You're available for emotion. Like, you ever met a depressed person? They're not available to emotion. So Simcha is availability to emotion. Like you said, it's a free-flowing emotion. The heart is alive. From the right side, it feels good and everything's moving. A person who is available to Simcha, or sorry, a person who has Psichas Alev is also available to Avelus. He'll be able to mourn deeply. He'll be able to get more angry. He'll be able to love deeper. It's the key to all the emotions. It's the key to all the emotions. So the Rebbe gives the analogy in regards to like why is it so important to our avodas Hashem. He gives the analogy of like martial arts, 2 guys wrestling with each other, and he says that the victory will go to the one who is Bezrizus, Besimcha. He's there's energy. Even if the other guy is bigger and heavier and even more skillful, the lightness on your feet and the life force will carry you through. And it's the same with everything. Everything that we do, everything that we attempt to do, when we are besimcha, we are more successful. No question. Okay, so if we know what simcha is, which is psichas alev, what is the technical word we use to describe depression in the Tanya?
Timtum halev.
Timtum halev, which means the heart is not available. It's the opposite of psichas alev. Like Abraham's tent was pasuach. Yeah. Timtum halev, you can imagine Bilam's tent was mamash sagur with a big lock. Yeah. That Timtum halev means the heart has hardened. And it's not available. You could call that atzvus as well. Timtum halev and atzvus, although I think there is a chiluk. I don't know how to articulate it. I'm not quite sure of that. And Timtum halev comes out, it expresses itself primarily as 2 kind of maladies in our avodas Hashem. two problems. What are the two main problems that Timtum and Lave cause? This is quite a subtle question.
Well, it feeds the fact that I am, right? It's like that in the Nefesh Bahamas, that you're your own thing. You're a separate thing from a Rebbeinu Shalom.
So that okay, that's really the shoresh of these two problems. The two problems that are most immediate when a person is betimtum is, number one, he can't pray, okay, and number two, he can't resist permissible. Who's beeping? Permissible. Oh, that's me. Sorry. Wait. No, I just stopped that.
We don't hear anything.
Oh, excuse me. So that was me. I apologize for that. Number one, yeah. So number one is inability to pray. Number two is an inability to I can't think of a word, like to hold himself back with permissible pleasures. You just give it, you can't. Why? And it's like what Yoel just said, is because the sense of self has become so strong, you can't pray when there's a strong sense of self. Or if you do, it's not really prayer. Prayer isn't about give me this, give me that. Prayer is about Rabbeinu Shalom, let me serve you. Give me what I need so I can serve you. That's what prayer really is. The ultimate prayer really, really the ultimate prayer is just, Hashem, let me know why you made me and help me do that for you. And give me the resources that I need to do that for you. That's really, that really summarizes all of prayer. Let me know why you made me and give me the resources that I need so that I can do that for you in the most optimal way possible. Finish. Get on with the newspaper. That was meant to be Oasis Shalom Boomerang for That was my joke. Anyway. Okay. Causes of depression. We have 3 causes of depression. Anyone can remember the 3 categories of causes of depression? So number 1 is Banai Chayai Mazonai, meaning stuff that's happening, serious stuff that's happening, kids not being well or annoying. I suppose that would include the wife as well, and health and panasa, real worldly worries. Then there's the averas that I've done, mistakes that I've made, opportunities that I didn't cash in on, etc. Yeah, that's also a cause for depression for Timtum. And then there's the fact that I'm just mummish. Look at me. It's not that I did anything wrong. Just look at me. Look at the kind of thoughts that I have, the kind of person that I am. That's also another reason to get depressed. Yeah, so we can summarize that as what's happening to me, what I did, and what I am. That summarizes all of the things that can lead us to this state of Timtum and to depression. It's happening to me, I did it, I am it. And the Rebbe gives us advice for these 3 things. And it's annoying because we live in this world where advice is like everywhere. It's like, everywhere's advice. Go online, type into the chat bot and he'll give you, whatever you want, good advice. And then, we've got all these books, like when the 7 Habits came out, like in the 80s, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It was like groundbreaking to have such advice in, how much advice in one book. And now you've got book after book after book with, good answers over and over and over. So we have to just because what's value? You know, value is based on scarcity. Yeah, so diamonds are expensive because there's not that many of them. That's why photography is not worth anything nowadays because there's pictures everywhere. Yeah, but the point to really remember is that even though there's lots of advice knocking around, don't take this advice for granted. When the Alter Rebbe gives us advice, even though you could just say, "Oh well, you know, I've heard it," and you probably have, but we shouldn't relate to it like that. We have to remember that these are that the words of the Chachamim are like burning coals, mamash. And their bite is like the bite of a fox and the sting of a scorpion. And these are so it's different hearing the same advice from from Joe Smith, in Calgary, than it is to hearing the same advice from the Alter Rebbe. That was just a prequel. So the advice on the Alter Rebbe is, number one, what's happening to me? How do you get over the kind of depression that can be generated from life sucks? My kids are annoying. Yeah, I don't feel well and I got no money. Yeah. He says, be cognizant, be miscovered to the fact that what is important is Kirvas Elokim, is Avodas Hashem, and Gamzu Tova. This is to bring you closer to the Rebbeinu Shloim, and therefore turn it round and turn that into Mamash Simcha. That's a cause for Simcha, not a cause for depression. The fact that right now you're being brought closer to the Rebbeinu Shloim, and it's if you don't crumble under the pressure or the pain of the test, yeah, it's a quicker, easier way of getting to the Rebbeinu Shloim. It's very, very effective to get to the Rebbeinu Shloim through suffering. If you read through the Or Chaim HaKadosh, you will. If there's one thing you walk away from going through the Or Chaim on the Chumash, is that suffering is a very important part of life, and it is very helpful to get you. Not that we want suffering, not that we want, but to know when it comes your way, it is a very helpful thing that is bringing you closer to Hashem in a very, very express kind of way. Okay, then the next thing that he discusses is.
Have I have a question?
Yeah.
So you just said these three categories of depression, and you're trying to show a remedy. What's the remedy to those three categories? I'm sorry if I missed it.
Yeah, no. He's given three categories. I did it. It happened to me. I did it. I am it. And he's giving you a piece of advice for each one of those categories. So the category of it's happening to me is Gamzu Tova. This is bringing you closer to Rebbeinu Shloim. Okay. One day we're going to go through the sugya in the Gemara in Tainus of Nachamish Gamzu, and we'll learn some amazing things from it. B'ezrat Hashem. If I come out to the States, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll go through that Gemara because it's moedic. Anyway, then the second one is I did it. Yeah, so you're upset over the averas that you've done. Yeah, they're bringing you down, and that's not bad. That's you shouldn't feel good about your averas. But the Rebbe says that if you have these thoughts of, I can't believe I did that, just come to you out of nowhere, it's the Yetzer Hara trying to drag you down into deeper tivers. Never ever is a man as susceptible to doing bad stuff as when he feels rubbish in himself and when he's tired. Never. Avera greris avera. So when a person starts feeling down because of stuff he's done, the Rebbe says, catch yourself. You want to do this. This is okay. Set a time, a specific time, and go through it. But not now. Not now. Right now, it's just to drag you into Taiva. It's just to get you deeper into trouble. Don't do that. Don't go there. And he says a very important thing. He says that the hisboineness of tshuva is not look at the averas that I've done, as we've said so many times. It's look at who I was hoite against. The Rebbeinu Shloim, who's given me forget the stuff in life, forget the fact that you've got a nice car and you've got a nice house and your health and you've got good kids and stuff. What do we say when we come out the bathroom? Afilu sha'echas la'amoid lefanecha. That in itself is worth everything. The fact that you're la'amoid lefanecha, and that doesn't mean you're actually standing up. That just means that you can stand in front, that you exist. That is enough to say thank you for from now until ever, and again and again. The fact that things are also nice and cool and pleasant and enjoyable and comfortable, yeah, okay, great. But that's a secondary point. So against him who gave you the schus of being, yeah, you're not giving him 100%. That's not Beseder. That's not Beseder. That should be the kivun in how we approach tshuva. Not, oi, look how bad I am. Look how, oh, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I did that. No, no, no. The Rebbeinu Shalom is giving you the schus to live. He gave you the schus to stand in front of him, and you're pushing it away, doing silly things. Yeah, pull yourself together. That's tshuva. That's tshuva. And then finally, don't know why Yoel wasn't zeicher to hear that, but anyway, then finally, if you're upset about who you are, which is basically predicated on the fact that you're having these bad thoughts all the time, yeah, then stop being a Balgaiva. Because that's the reason why Hashem created you, to grapple with these kinds of crazy thoughts that pop into your head in the most annoying, ridiculous times. Yeah, that's how it is. That's what being a Beinoni is about. It's not about not having those thoughts. It's about having those thoughts, and as he says, pushing them away with two hands. That's called being a Beinoni. Okay, so he goes on, and one of the things he speaks about is machshava zaras during tefillah. When a person has bad thoughts during prayer, he says take chizuk for it. Number one, you have to be masir das. Don't let these thoughts like take a foothold, and you have to know that you have two souls. You have a nefesh Bahamas and a nefesh Elokis. And just like in a fight, when one guy strengthens himself and starts dominating the other guy, the guy at the bottom pulls himself together and summons all the energy he has to fight back. That is what happens when we're davening. If we're davening, not just like you're just like throwing a dog a bone kind of thing. You're just davening because you have just trying to get finished with davening, though. But you're trying to daven, and then all of a sudden you're like getting smitten by these stupid thoughts. The Rebbe says that's a very good sign. That shows that you're davening. If you had one soul, yeah, then he would say you're right. It's a sign that you're not davening, because the same soul is having these stupid thoughts. But it's not true, because the Nefesh Elokis is trying to daven, and the Nefesh Bahamas is sitting on the sidelines watching, and he's getting antsy because he sees that you're being matzliach. So he jumps in with a lot of energy. So the Rebbe says you should take some chizuk from that. If you're getting bad thoughts from tefillah and you feel that you're trying, yeah, that's very important. That you feel not that you're just like just trying to be yotzi or chov, but you're trying to daven, you're investing energy and time into davening, and you're still not being matzliach. That is matzliach. That's dafka the simon that you're being matzliach. And then he mentions the idea, the difference between iskafia and ishafcha, which are they're big themes in Tanya. Ishafcha is the avoider of the tzaddik who actually turns these negative thoughts into positive thoughts. That's called the transformation of Ra into Tov. But that's not really our avoider on a regular level. Maybe we have sporadic, periodic times where that's shaykh. But our real avoider is iskafia. Just defeat it, dominate it, get over it, just get through it. That's the avoider of the Benoni, and that the Rebbe compares to like the difference between a sweet dish and kind of like a spicy sour dish, where Hashem likes both dishes, but one of them takes a little bit of like spicing up and stuff, whereas the sweet dish is naturally delicious, whereas the spicy or bitter dish needs to get sweetened up. So the avodah of the Benoni is compared to offering Hashem a spicy dish or a sour dish, whatever, bitter dish, and the avodah of the tzaddik is comparable to offering up the sweet dish. What are the two ways that we can elevate our pleasures to the Ribono Shel Olam? How can we offer our pleasure to Hashem? Two ways that we can offer our pleasure to Hashem.
I mean, I would say by foregoing on it.
Yes, that was the hard one. What's the easy one? I mean, not
Just
hard to do.
Being mechaven to when you're having einik. In other words,
yeah, but we know that, like, you can't do that. You're eating something nice. You're going, yeah, I'm doing this for Hashem. Yeah. Well, how do you know that how do you know that you're indulging in a pleasure for Hashem? Shabbos. Don't do it in the week and save it for Shabbos. That is the most easy, beautiful, perfect way of offering your oineg to the Ribono Shel Olam. And that's really offering your deepest self. That's really giving yourself to him mamash. Something you really like doing, deny yourself in the chol and do it on Shabbos. That is mamash, tikkun olamus, mamash. But what you were saying, the idea of just foregoing pleasure anyway, that is a tikkun of the pleasure in the chol, even if you don't partake in it on Shabbos. Just the idea of just denying yourself. You wanted to say that thing. This is really hard. Yeah, really hard. Don't say something. And you know what makes it even harder? If it was funny or good, I'm not saying do this other, but you thought of a little funny thing to say. It's not going to help anyone. It's just a cute, funny thing to say, and it's clever and it's funny. Yeah, you try not to say it. Yeah, and if you want sliach, your mamash, you flew up into the sky, mamash, along with the whole world as well. Along with the whole world, to be able to hold back saying something, and I'll raise the not the odds. I'll raise the stakes. If you're able to forego every now and again a quick, funny, cute little comment, yeah, that is a segula nifla for being able to bite your tongue when your wife does something annoying. Segula nifla. It's worth it just for that. How many times, if you imagine, go back, well, everyone's been married here, 15, 20 years, something like that, yeah? Imagine whatever, between 10 and 20 years. Yeah, imagine when you go to Shemayim and they show you the list of paper of all the things when the thought popped into your head, I shouldn't say this, and you still said it. Yeah, you'll be sitting there for hours going through papers and papers and papers of all the times when you said to yourself, I shouldn't really say this, but, and then you said it anyway. Yeah, so imagine we could cut that down a little bit by just holding ourselves back from saying things. Again, everything, and I'll tell you that the key to all of these avoiders, which seem to some people maybe as being extreme, all of these avoiders, I try and teach my children, mamash, is the minute you feel that simcha is draining, stop the avoiders. If you feel that you're not doing it b'simcha, yeah, then it's going to cause damage, and it's wrong. It's not the right thing to be doing right now. That's the benchmark. That is as long as you're b'simcha, you can do tinus dibor, I don't know about segufim, but you can go into the cold mikveh and have a cold shower and stop eating this and stop saying that. And you could do it as long as you're besimcha, but the minute you start seeing your simcha levels draining and you're still doing the avoiders, yeah, then it's going to cause problems. It's not worth it. You're causing damage to yourself and the world. Stop and reassess and get back to being besimcha, because that's the foundation. Okay, all of this will basically lead you to the ability to see yourself as less than everyone else in the whole world. Imagine that in 2024, talking about trying to see yourself as less. It's like funny because there's people in my chavrusa that I learn with is, I mean, he's so hidden. He's so hidden, it's unbelievable. And he does things to hide himself very much, like ridiculously. Imagine like the idea of Facebook. The idea of Facebook is playing yourself down. You accomplish something really amazing, and not only do you not tell anyone, but you try and give over the impression that you've done something much less. Imagine that. Yeah, that's what we're meant to be doing as Yidden. We're meant to be portraying ourselves as less than we are, not more than we are, as the social media world wants you to try and do. When we present ourselves, so now the question becomes: how could you see yourself as lower than everyone in the whole world and still maintain simcha? And the answer to that question is: how can you see yourself as lower than everybody in the world, literally all 8 billion people, whatever, and still maintain simcha? Anyone has an answer to that question?
Like connecting to Hashem.
I think there's, yeah, maybe. I don't quite know what that means, though.
Meaning it's about the relationship with Hashem and me, not about a comparison with everyone else in the world.
My answer to the question is, you basically said it. My answer to the question is, how can you see yourself lower than everyone in the whole world and maintain simcha? The answer is, what's the connection? It's like, what my simcha comes from being better than someone? That's not simcha, that's gaiva. Simcha's got absolutely no connection to anybody else in the whole world. You can be lower than everybody else in the whole world and be totally besimcha. In fact, you could even be more besimcha because you know you got a long way to go. Let's get to work. So definition of self-esteem that I learned, Yoel gave me a book to read that I finished, which was an excellent book, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, something like that. The definition of self-esteem that he said, which was fantastic, is feeling appropriate for life. Which in Yiddish terms, if you translate that into Yiddish terms, means Hashem will not test me with something that I cannot handle. If you really internalize that, you will have deep, deep self-esteem, and that's self-esteem and simcha are very much connected to each other. But I am appropriate for life. I was built to handle life, and that is what I will do. It's like a square peg in a square hole. What is it? A square peg in a square hole. I'm a square peg. Life is a square hole, and I fit. That's why I got made. I got made to navigate life. That should be the source of, the source of much inner strength, of simcha, self-esteem, whatever you want to call it. What's the kesher between being more than people, less than people? And like we said, when it's about feeling less than other people, it's not so much that you should feel less than other people. You should feel more that they're great, that they're greater than you. Not that you're less than them, but they're greater than you. Try and keep that. Try when you look at somebody. We spoke about this. When you look at, like, you ever meet a big tzaddik and he shakes your hand. Like, if you meet Rev Svima Zilberberg, yeah, he'll hold your hand in both of his hands and he'll gaze into your eyes and he'll be like, he's in dreamland looking at you. You're like, what? What? He's in love with you immediately. He sees that that's something we should be, working on doing, looking at people and being mispile over them. B'ezrat Hashem. So if you want some Eitzah, according to the Rebbe, what he said to get this, to be real with this avoider, is if in fact you see that you are better than someone else, you're more responsible, you're more moral, you're whatever it is, yeah, remember that you got born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You got put in a good situation, things are good for you, and if he got born into such a situation, he also might be doing very well as well. But the ultimate focus, the whole point of everything here is start moving yourself out of your own perspective. That's the goal, is we're trying to see things from other people's perspective. That's really where the simcha comes in. So now I'll say this quickly, but we've had whole shirim on this. Everyone remembers the 5 levels of the heart? Vaguely. As I say it, you'll remember it. So
I remember it, but I can't say it over.
Yeah, but say it, okay. So firstly, there's the idea of Shvir Salev. How do we, firstly, there's Timtum Alev, like we said. The 5 Madregas are Timtum Alev, Shvir Salev, Marira Salev, Psicha Salev, and Tuv Levav. I'll translate. Timtum Alev, the blocked heartedness, Shvir Salev, broken-heartedness, Marira Salev, bitter-heartedness, Psich Salev, open-heartedness, and Tuv Levav, which means goodness of heart, or really heartness of good. That's really the best way of saying it. Timtum Alev, as we said, Shvir Salev is the state of disidentification. You thought you were X, and you're not X. You might not be Y, but you're not X. How could you be X if you did such a thing? You're such a nice guy, but you said that horrible thing to that person. That's a state of shvira. Shvira Salev is when your identification. I mean, the best example of shvira, unfortunately, would be a young child losing a parent, where their world crumbles because they're completely identified with their parent. Or also like divorce for young children, stuff like that, where they're identified with their parents or whatever it is, and whatever they were identified with gets taken away. That feeling of broken, that's called broken-heartedness. That's when you're nothing. Someone just hit the reset button. You're not what you were, and you didn't become something else. You're just in no man's land. That's a very, very holy place to be, but it's a very unsettling place to be at the same time. Now, that can happen. The Rebbe gives eitzes in Perek 29 about how to induce that yourself by looking at yourself with very harsh, by analyzing yourself on a very harsh level. But in this generation, we don't need to do that so much because we are bombarded with stimuli all day, which can help you break. Yeah, the chutzpah of the children in this generation, the advertising and the comparisons. Social media is the most perfect place for sure. But the key to all of this stimuli, if your kids are chutzpahdik to you, okay, then now for their sake you're not allowed that can't be, and they have to be trained. They have to be educated that they can't be chutzpahdik to their parent, but not because of you, not because you're anything special, because that for them, they're not allowed to be chutzpahdik. But it's not about your covered got broken. Now you shout at them for being rude to you. No. Your covered getting broken is great. And to that, the response should be inner silence. Inner silence is the segula for Shvir Salev. When something embarrassing or negative, whatever it is, happens to you, the minute you start screaming against it, and that doesn't have to be externally, that could just be internally screaming against it, you've missed the opportunity. So when something does happen that's embarrassing or upsetting, whatever it is, we need to try and practice maintaining an inner silence. So we have to respond to the children. We're not allowed the children are not allowed to be chutzpah to their parents, but for them. But mitzadenu, from our side, there has to be an inner silence and an acceptance of the bushas, of the whatever it is, and that helps bring us to Shvir Salev. That helps dissolve the ego and the timtum. And then if we're zoicha, we get to Marira Salev. Marira Salev is the commitment, the recalibration of our desire, of our ratzon to get back on track. It's that experience of this is enough. Enough is enough, and it's time to pull myself together. I got created for a purpose. And I need to pull my act together. I need to get on with this. This is enough. I've been messing around enough, and time. No more wasting time. No more getting caught up in these endless stupid cycles that I've been doing for the past 30 years. That's the recommitment. That's the Marira Salev, which leads to Psicha Salev, which is okay. Let's get it on. I'm ready. Hashem, I'm here for you. And if you say that, then you're Zocher Tuv Levav, which is the experience of non-experience. It's the experience. That's why all of the others are Psich Salev, Marira Salev. It's the Lev is the noun, and then you've got the adjective. Although it's in noun constructs, but you've got those words describing the heart. Openness of heart, bitterness of heart, breaking of the heart. Tuv Levav flips it around. Tuv is the noun. Levav is describing the good. That's the state of the tzaddik. That's the state when there is no experience there. That's the state of the Ribbono Shel Olam. That's the Ribbono Shel Olam has now been zofer to an avatar, a true avatar into his world. That's the tzaddik. That's the tzaddik. And that's where the goyish mistake of Yoshki comes into play. That idea of the tzaddik being the avatar, Hashem's avatar into this world, they got caught up in the mensch as opposed to the Ribbono Shel Olam. So they instead of seeing the tzaddik as a pesach to Hashem, they turned the tzaddik, if he was a tzaddik, I don't know what it was, but they turned the mensch into the elokus. Whereas by us, the mensch dissolves. There is no mensch. There's just elokus. That's the inyan of Tuv Levav, where the heart becomes the description of the Tuv. That's Hashem. Ki toiv, hoyd Hashem ki toiv, ki li'olam hastoi. So your heart is describing God. That's the state of Tuv Levav. Okay. And now, if we're zoicher, I know this is intense. Yeah, we're still good. Everyone's got. Yeah. Remember, there's a test on this. Okay.
Yeah, but we get to listen to the share again before the test, right?
Well, you can do it listening together at the same time. There's no kunz. I just want everyone to know all this. I want you to. What does it mean to know something? It means that you don't quote anyone. You're not saying like when you go back, you say, I heard Shmuel say X. Yeah? No, what you do is you can't even remember that it was Shmuel that said X, because this is just how I see reality. This is it. What do you mean? Of course, there's only three ways that you can be depressed. It's stuff stuff that's happening to you. It's what you did, and it's who you are. Oh yeah, Shmuel said that. But say, okay, fine. But that's just like that's it. That's called knowing something. That's all I care. That's all I care about. That we should know all of this. That's Lashon Adam Yada Es Chava. That Adam merged intimately with Chava. That's called Yediyah. That's what we're trying to get to. B'ezrat Hashem. So now, what's the chapter for Avos Yisrael? The famous chapter in the Tanya for Avos Yisrael.
32.
Lamed Beis, yeah, Leiv, yeah. So we've been talking all about the heart, so it's very apropos. So basically, in chapter 32, it's a kind of digression a little bit from these chapters of Simcha, because the Rebbe is saying how good Simcha is, what it does for you, and the ways you achieve it, etc. And then he's like, and by the way, one of the fringe benefits of Simcha is Avos Yisrael. So chapter 32 is a little bit of a deviation. It's still on the topic of Simcha, but it's a little bit of a deviation, and it's predicated on relating to yourself as a yid, not as a human being. Remember, definition of a yid is a human being with a neshama. Kol zman, you're relating to yourself as a human being, your love will be an ava talui bedava. A human being cannot love another human being without, I don't know if this is a true statement actually. The basic understanding is that a human being cannot love another human being without it being a love dependent on something. It could be something that's very subtle, but it would have to be predicated on something. I'm pretty sure of that. Whereas this is for sure, a neshama loves another neshama, not with like the classic style of love, but every neshama is every neshama. We're all one big neshama. So it's like, does your right hand love your left hand? I mean, if you want to use that word for it, there's an achdus, there's a yichud. It's the same thing. Your right hand will never get upset with your left hand with your right hand. That's Avos Yisrael. Is as we relate to ourselves as a neshama, as a yid, not as a human being. That is how we are able to love every other Jew. And that's what it means. V'ahavta kamoicha. Love every yid as yourself, not as much as yourself. That would be the human element, which makes, compares and contrasts and measures and analyzes, etc. Like yourself means the way that you love yourself, you love the Jewishness about yourself. Yeah? Then you'll love the Jewishness about everyone else. And it comes out, and I think it's an important thing to say, is even those Yidden from the Turei Carta that everybody in the world right now just wants to, whatever they want to do to them, is you don't have a heter to hate. There's even though you don't have a heter to not love them. You might also have a chiyuv to hate them, and in that case you probably would, and you should maybe ask a shayla, but I would imagine that you do have a chiyuv to hate them. But that does not absolve your chiyuv to love them. You still have to love them as well. And the Rebbe said,
The side point to that, I just heard why say maybe they might not be Jewish. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, but old Suffolk, you probably have to assume they are Jewish. I don't know, but the assuming they are Jewish, then you don't have then you still have a chiyuv to love them. And the Rebbe says, so what do you do, lemaisa? You hate them and you love them. So like lemaisa, what do you do? So he says, have rachmanus. Have rachmanus, and that will allow you to relate to them in a loving way. Okay. Now we get to the chapters 30. We've just done right now. If you want to just get a bit of chizuk, we have now been through chapters 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Okay. So the last two chapters of this Chalik of Tanya is 33 and 34. where the Rebbe really, he introduces us to the idea of the Dir B'Tachtonim. And he gets us really caught up in, or he gets caught up in the idea of, that's not the nice way to say it, but he spends a lot of time dealing with the idea of Yichud Hashem. Anybody remembers the connection between Yichud Hashem and Dir B'Tachtonim? This is a deep Tanya question. It's not a Pashat Tanya question. And it would even go as far as to say that they're one idea. Yichud Hashem and Dir B'Tachtonim are the same idea, the same concept. Let me ask you a question. How's a man going to perceive his wife? That she's the best woman in the world or the only woman in the world?
Only.
Only.
Only. There are no other women. It's not that she's the best in the world. There's no other women. The idea of niyuf, of adultery, of infidelity, is not possible because there's no other woman in the world. There is no other woman. That's what marriage is really about. Marriage is about getting to the point where it's not that she's the best. In fact, she might not be the best. She might not be the most attractive. She might not be the most intelligent. She might not be the most sensitive. She might not be the best with the kids. She might be all of the above or none of the above, yeah? But that's irrelevant. She's your wife. And that's it. There's no one else. Yeah, that's the inyan of Yichud Hashem. That's why the Sfarim, the Chassidish Sfarim especially, go at such length talking about Yichud Hashem and trying to get it viscerally clear to us. The whole 12 prakim of Shayichud Ve'emunah are all about Yichud Hashem. Because we're trying to get clear that this isn't like he's the best God, he's the most powerful God. There is nothing else other than him. That's it. Just like you should be dedicated to your wife, yeah, so too, in a sense, you should be dedicated to Hashem because there is ein od milvado. There's nothing else to be dedicated to. That's Dir B'Tachtonim. Dir B'Tachtonim is a relationship. It's not. It doesn't mean a pnimia like a dormitory. It's a home. That's really what it means. It means a home. Yeah, where you're the wife. We are the wife. Am Yisrael is the wife, and the Ribono Shel Olam is the husband. That's what Dir B'Tachtonim is, and that is a source of tremendous joy. So he goes through. We're not going to get into this at all, but he goes through different meditations to get clear on Yichud Hashem. One of them is firstly, that creation didn't affect his oneness in any way. I suppose the moshel to understand that is when someone gives a moshel, yeah. The one giving the moshel is not connected to the moshel. He's connected to the nimshel. In his mind, he's just giving a moshel, but he's just thinking about the nimshel. So this whole world is a moshel for the Ribono Shel Olam. And Hashem is the one giving the moshel. So he's thoroughly connected to the nimshel. There's lots of, we could talk about this for ages. I'm not going to get into it, but there's lots of beautiful analogies to get this clear, but the point is he speaks also about the idea of the rays from the sun being an emanation from the sun, nothing separate from the sun, and the idea of speech, the letters of speech being when you talk. Well, let me ask you a question. Why is it that when you talk you have kavanah for what you're saying, but when you're reading the Siddur, a lot of the times you'll be able to read the letters and not think about what you're saying? You hear my question?
But when you're davening, do you mean that you're reading silently or you're verbalizing? When
You're reading the words, and you could even be reading, or anything, not just davening. You could be reading a magazine in English, and then you take a pause after 2 minutes. You realize you just read three paragraphs, and you have no idea. You didn't pay any attention. Your mind was somewhere else. Yeah, you've done that before. Yeah,
sure, because they're not your thoughts.
all the time. What?
They're not your thoughts.
But so how comes when you speak, you know what you're talking, you understand what you're saying? That couldn't happen. You couldn't talk for like 3 minutes and think, wait, 1 minute, what did I just, you know what I'm saying? Like you can when you're reading a book. You hear the question, yeah? Because this is a very deep thought. The letters are produced from the kavana. The letters are a product of the kavana. Whereas when you're reading, the kavana is a product of the letters. So you could be reading the letters and you weren't paying attention, so they didn't create the kavana. Whereas when you're speaking, the letters are produced by your kavana. When you want to say I love you, the words I love you come out. And you know how frustrating it is when you know what you want to say, and for some reason Hashem's not allowing those words to, he's not allowing you to find that word. It happens to me a lot, yeah? That's not a lot, but whatever. You see in the share, a lot of times I'm searching for the word, yeah? So those letters, when you started saying to me that whole thing about whatever, yeah, where were those letters? Those letters were consumed in your kavana beforehand, but they didn't exist as letters. And that's the mashal that the Rebbe gives for Yichud Hashem of what's going on, because Hashem speaks the world into being. But just like those letters and your kavana are merged in a unity inside you, so too Hashem's speech and this world is merged in unity inside him. Okay, we're getting there. Everybody remembers Tzadik be'emunah Yichya? Tzadik be'emunah Yichya is referring to the phenomena of when you've digested Yichud Hashem so deeply that it's a reality to you, that you're aware, that you're at least cognizantly, at least cognizant of Yichud Hashem. It might not be that you feel it viscerally, maybe. And you realize now, and we've said this many times, and this is the key to the whole thing. This is what it said, Tzaddik be'emunah Yichya. It means that Tzaddik in his emunah of Yichud Hashem lives. And this is the reason why the bar mitzvah is called a bar mitzvah, not a bar mitzvos. Because when you become connected to him, as opposed to the actions, then there isn't 613 mitzvahs. There's just him. Oh, at 8 o'clock in the morning, him is Kriya Shema. Oh, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, him is Mincha. Oh, at whatever time of the day when I just got my paycheck, him is tzedakah. Him is tefillin. Him is every other mitzvah there is. It just becomes one. And this is really the key to staying sane. It's the key to two things. It's the key to staying sane in your avodas Hashem, remembering that there aren't 613 mitzvahs. There's just him. There's just him. It's like there's not all these avodas in the house. There's not the trash and the putting the socks in the dirty washing and the doing this and the making the cheese on toast in the morning. And there's just the wife. And in this situation, it looks like this. And in this situation, it looks like that. That's not only the key to staying sane, that is the key to investing energy into your avodas Hashem that you could never imagine. That is the key to blasting through every barrier that you can imagine and looking back at your avodah and thinking, this is not human. This is not human what I'm doing. Kozman, you're caught up in the acts of the mitzvah, and there's the Shmira Sanaim and the Shmira Saroshan, and there's the Sifus in learning, and then there's the Kavanah and Tefillah, and then there's Tzedakah, and then there's Midas, and then there's Chinuch Bonim, and then there's Tzitzis and Tefillin, and within Tefillin there's the Pashias, and there's the black straps, and then there's and before you know it, you're going out your head, yeah? if you could just let go of the whole thing, that's tzadik be'emunasoy yichya. That's how you live. Get simple. Let go of all of everything, and just get yourself kashor to him, to him, to him. You want to learn want to learn anything? Just be miscovered to Yichud Hashem. Just learn as much about Yichud Hashem as you can. Learn Chassidus, learn whatever you get, just to get clear that it's about him. It's not about your avoider. It's about him. And that's Sadik Be'emunasa Yichya. And that's two segulas. Number one, you will stay sane. Two, you'll be able to invest yourself in your avoider in a way that you could never imagine. And then finally, the Rebbe, I'll just say this very quickly, that the idea of bringing Hashem into your life on a visceral level every minute is by two things. By being koveya itim l'Torah and tzedakah. Anyone remembers the difference between being koveya itim l'Torah and koveya shiurim l'Torah?
Fitting Hashem into your life or making it permanent so that you push everything else around of your life around your set times.
Could have said it better myself. That when you are koveya shiurim, like what we're doing with Nach and with Shabbos, and there's Daf Yomi, and then you have a life and you consider Hashem to be very important, so you make sure you make time for him. Whereas koveya itim l'Torah, you bend your life to him. It's the opposite. Not that koveya shiurim isn't a very heilige thing. It is an amazing gewaldige thing. But being koveya itim is more. And don't be light. Treat koveya itim l'Torah and make it what's the word? Make it realistic. But koveya itim l'Torah is like you mamash have a meeting lahavdil elef alfa elafim havdalas with Donald Trump, or with Elon Musk, or with whoever it is. Yeah, that's it. Should be at least that. At least that. You said you're going to meet him. You said you've got your koveya from 12 p.m. till 12:30 p.m. Yeah, then that means that everything's dealt with. You've got your cup of coffee off. You're sitting there by 11:59. And the more you can make that real to yourself, that will be a segula to make Hashem very, very, very real in your life. Very real indeed. Bezrat Hashem. And then just finally, the Rebbe ends up the whole thing by saying, you have to run. The final thing that the Rebbe ends up by saying is that you can maintain the two feelings in your heart. You can maintain this, we already mentioned this, but you can maintain the feeling of a kind of Zibrochenkite, where you feel like you're lowly, you're not where you're meant to be at, and maintain tremendous joy and positivity in the other side of the heart. And they're not stereo to each other. Feeling that you're not performing at the ultimate level and that you've got a long way to go, that's no reason for depression, or just don't let it fall into selfish thoughts. Don't let it fall into thinking about about me, even though you're feeling that you're not low. When it becomes directed mamish onto the self, then it can lead to depression, etc. And Rebbe says you can have both feelings in the heart at the same time. And that is chapters 26, Bezrat Hashem, to chapter 34. Oh, Yetzi came back. Itzy there? What's that? So that's cute. So, expressions, breath, bright cavities, restores an owl, Voldic. Because we just said I don't know where you got cut out, but there's no stera, like we said. You can maintain a Zebrochenkite in the left side of the heart, feeling that there's a long way to go, and tremendous simcha and joy in the right side of the heart, feeling ultimately positive and emotionally available, and let's get it on. We're here to serve. That's what we got made to do. So what are we waiting for? Let's get on with it. We should be zoicha b'ezrat Hashem to serve the Bono Sholem b'simcha v'tuv leivav, mamash.